Welcome. Today is the 29th of October 2025. My name's Nandis and I'm from Dalrymple Trading, here to look at the key markets of the S&P 500, WTI Crude Oil, Bitcoin and some gold. So we'll start off our analysis with the S&P 500. So what we've seen is we bounced off that 6,500 level. We've been able to breach the 6,750 level, and now we're currently sitting at 6,900, whisk away from the 7,000 mark in terms of where we're heading as a trajectory. But one thing to keep in mind, guys, is that we've had a gap here in trading. So obviously, due to the positive announcements happening in the US between China, we've seen this strong sort of rally up. But that gap is at 68.50. So that's obviously unfinished business. We're very extended from the base here from the 23rd of October. We haven't seen a meaningful correction or even any sort of profit taking. So what I'm going to be seeing in this chart is prices will, in the next day or two, revert back, possibly test this gap. And once it tests this gap, two possibilities are possible. We correct and we push up to the upside, or we come back and we retest 6750. So at the moment, my bias on this is still bearish. Yes, it is an upward trend. And obviously this gap here wasn't completely tested either. Like I mentioned in the previous video, we sort of came down to 6532 area, but the actual 6500 gap was not tested. So, whilst the market is rallying, I do have some concerns with the structural integrity of the actual rally. There's a gap here and a gap here that's not been filled. Now, gaps don't necessarily always have to be filled, but looking at previous experience that I've been doing and with my own experience, I know that eventually at some point those gaps will be filled. So, in the short term, expect a pushback to the downside before we decide whether we're going to go up or whether we're going to test 6750 down the bottom. So on Thursday US time, which is Friday Sydney time, President Trump and Xi will be meeting to discuss an arrangement in terms of the tariffs. So that will be bullish, sorry, to the market. But in saying that, we do need to see some sort of pullback to the average to retest and some profit taking too. So moving across to WTI crude oil. So what we've seen is we saw crude oil prices drop to 55, 56 level, rallied since then, hit a high of 62. Now we're back down to 60. Now, if prices can hold above 60, we should still see some upside. If it does break down below the $60 mark, we've got support at 58.50, which we can go and retest. So at the moment, we've seen prices pull back, but the overall sort of direction is still bullish in terms of where prices can go. So we can see prices go up, correct, and then rally off that $60 mark once again to the upside. If not, we'll see that breakdown happening down to 58.50. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on that. At the moment, it's sort of in the middle as to where it wants to go. Gold. So we saw gold rallying all the way through October to the sort of 21st, 22nd of October. Then we saw a sharp correction in gold. So historically speaking, gold is still at all-time highs. Okay, so these highs have never been previously tested. So when I'm looking at the support and resistance at these levels, um, you know these are fairly fresh support and resistance levels, just purely based on a month worth of price action. So at the moment, we saw a base down here at 68.90 or abouts. Uh, Managed to stabilize about 39.50. So if we hold above that, we should see prices go up, come back down, and then possibly rally to the upside. For it to be bullish once again, we definitely need to break above the 4100 level and plant itself firmly above that, and then we'll see obviously more action to the upside. At the moment, I'm still sort of up in the air about this because this might still, go a little bit further down, find some further support further down, and then rally up. But I mean, obviously, nothing's really changed in terms of the macro situation with gold. I think it is still a investor's dream. I think it's a very good investment and for the long term. But obviously, prices got too hot, and that's why it corrected down to a reasonable level at the moment. But once we find some support and we can rally off that support, it's probably a good time to buy into gold as well. Bitcoin, so we saw that price collapse from 125,000 down to 100,000 or 103,000. So now we're sort of in a range bound movement here. We haven't seen Bitcoin rally consistently. So to me, it's a bit of a sideways market unless we can break above 115,000 and retain that level, we're still sort of churning sideways. So it is a bit of a churny market at the moment. I'm avoiding Bitcoin at the moment because it is a bit of a churn, unless I can see some proper price action, which tells me that key support and resistance levels have been broken. I'm just going to stay out of this one for now. Looking at the weekly calendar, so we don't have, so we've got a US interest rate decision on the 29th of October. And then you've got the rest of the other announcements here. So I think the biggest one to watch out will be on the 29th, the interest rate decision. That'll obviously impact the S&P 500. So that's all my analysis for today. I wish you all the best with your trading.